up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Paige with Paige, and today we're talking about green books. Welcome to this video. Today I want to talk through a conglomerate of green books. This is because I am a co-host for the Amazing Readathon, which is created by Brie from 4 Paws in a Book. This readathon is team based and each team has their own allocated colour, and for my team it is green, and so we do get extra little bonuses if our books are green. So I've literally pulled every possible green book off my shelf, whether I've read it or not, and also I have a few digital ones as well that I just want to bring to your attention. So if you decide to be on the green team, you can see that there are a lot of options. It does need to be the book that you are reading. So even if there was a green version to Matilda, but I decided to read this blue edition, I couldn't count it because it would go towards blue, not to green. So with this, the prompts are dropped every couple of days throughout the readathon, hence why just having a stockpile of things to read is a good idea for this readathon. I'm so excited and so thankful that Brie asked me to be a co-host, and I'm so excited to be on the green team with Cal from Retrieving Books and Michelle from Michelle's Library. There are 6 teams in total, all with 3 co-hosts, so there are a lot of us floating around for sprints and a good old time in August. So if you'd like to join my team, feel free to join the Discord down below. That is where it's mostly hosted, and pick up some recommendations while you're here. I did categorize them in particular ways and then I shoved them on my shelves. I have now lost that organization. So as they come off, we will chat through what they are. I will be dividing this into sections: books that I have read first, so my recommendations, and then the books that are potentially on my own TBR anyway. Side note, the cover has to have at least 51% of the primary colour to count, hence why we're here. If any of these you feel aren't that, please let me know in the comments, and if you do have any other recommendations, let me know as well. And for graphic novels and manga, they only count as 100 pages as they're usually a quicker read. So there are ways of doubling up your points and getting more. It has quite a few different elements to it. So I would check Brie's announcement video for all the details on what you need to know. But let's dive into these recs. Of course, I was about to back up. I've got the ebooks. So I've got The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, Disfigured by Amanda Leduc, New Animal by Ella Baxter, House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher, In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Clune, and then my darling, wonderful Erin from Sheba and Shelves kindly sent me through a couple, and that is In the Defense of Witches, Why Women Are Still on Trial by Mona Charlotte, which is also a translated non-fiction, Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk, Hollow Kingdom by Kira Jane Buxton, African Risen, A New Rise of Speculative Fiction, that have been edited by Cherie Renee Thomas, Headache by Julio Cortazar, Reconstruction by Alea Dawn Johnson, and House of Hunger by Alexa Henderson if you have that particular edition. So the first stack I have are books that I have read and are standalones. So if you're just wanting to get through a one and done in this readathon, then these would be your best options. You can also think about this strategically, so depending on your reading speed, if you wanted to. I also really love this book, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. This is not your typical readathon book, because you cannot progress to the next stop unless you've finished the book before. But if you're a bloody speed reader and you think you can get through this and you want to use the 2 times amount to count it as double the amount of pages, that would be over 2,000 pages towards this readathon. So I don't know if it's the most strategic choice, but if you're a speed reader, this is a good option for the green team. Next up, we have one of my all-time favorites, and I am very conflicted as to whether this is green or yellow. So adjudicator, can you please let me know in the comments? And that is Female of the Species by Mindy McGuinness. For me, this is fluorescent green. It is so bright and my spine is so faded, it's so funny. I adore this book with my entire heart and soul. It is a very quick read. I was broken and I loved it. So if you're wanting something a little bit darker but still a fast read that isn't a full thriller, this would be my recommendation, as it's still a YA contemporary. I'm obviously not going to give synopsises for everything, but I really like those, so would highly recommend. Speaking of also loving this, Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Backman. I read this earlier this year and cried my eyes out because Britt Marie is just one of the funniest wholesome, wonderful older ladies that I've ever had the pleasure of reading about. I love Buckman's writing. It is so beautiful. Again, it's a very easy read to just fall through, and I loved it. Britt Marie is very passive aggressive, very sassy, in the sweetest kind of way for me personally, I found, and I just think this story is a whole lot of love. I'd recommend checking it out. In terms of a middle grade, I have Orion Loss by Alistair Chisholm. This was a recommendation for middle grade book club with Gavin and Jade when they were running it, and it's a whole lot of fun. I'm pretty sure this is just a sci-fi standalone middle grade, which is very rare. Then one I haven't read for quite a long time, and that's To Best the Boys by Mary Webber. This I remember being a very quick read, and our protagonist is trying to get into a college that has been predominantly male dominated, and she has to enter in a labyrinth disguised as a boy to be able to best the boys, and I remember it being super fun when I read it. Then slightly more literary fiction, we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. I really enjoyed Cornell and Marianne's dynamic in this. It is very slice of life, character focused, zero plot, and a look at their relationship and how their dynamics have changed over the years. And this last lady doesn't need any introduction, and that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So it is such a beautiful book, and if you're able to immersion read and listen to the audiobook alongside it, I found that was just beautiful. This has been described time and time again on BookTube, but I feel like there is a reason it is a BookTube darling, and it lives up to that. The green is actually quite a significant moment in the plot. So if you would like to dive into Taylor Jenkins Reid's, or you haven't read this before, we have the opportunity, provided the prompts work. Next up, we'll move to classics, and the first one I have is The Jungle Books by Rudyard Kipling. This particular edition is a bind up of the two. I did also read another edition which was like fluorescent green with a tiger on the cover as well. We're following Mowgli in the jungle and them learning the ways of the world. It is a very quick read, and the audiobooks I found really enjoyable. If you're needing something to fly through, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells is a really short classic to just tide you over if you need that little extra push and motivation to get through something quickly. And it's very interesting seeing the development of this in such a short period of time, because there are so many different steps that happen along the way. And then the final one for my classics, because we know I'm not a classics girly, is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I don't think this needs any introduction. This is Ash's edition. That was the greenest I could find. It is absolutely stunning, and the illustrations are gorgeous. I feel like this would be really lovely to listen to the audiobook and read along as well, and get to know the story if you've never read it before, or if you're just craving for a reread, see what Bilbo Baggins gets up to again. Be a nice time. Next up, I have two non-fictions. The first is Talking to My Country by Stan Grant. They have put into words so many beautiful lines, so much person into their writing. This is a look at their connection with their race and identity and the history of Australia and the way that Australians have treated the Indigenous people. I just really found this book so beautiful to read and heartbreaking at the same time, knowing that this is the way of my country. There is a lot of important messages in this, and it also reads so smoothly. It doesn't feel like a heavy drudge of a non-fiction, which is why I'm recommending it for a readathon, because I do feel like you can get through it in a timely manner and still take away the messages, because Stan Grant's just so articulate with it. So if you were interested on an Indigenous perspective of Australian history, this would be definitely a good one to pick up. And then Grunt by Mary Roach. This was fun. This is Curious Science of Humans at War, and there are a lot of different snippets to it, all with entertaining anecdotes. Boombox, automotive safety for people who drive on bombs. It could get weird. A salute to genital transplants. I really enjoy Mary Roach's writing, and again, because I find it so comedic, it's easy to fly through. The next stack that I want to talk about are books that are the first books in series that I have read. So the first is Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. This such a fun, beautiful, quick read. I don't think it needs any further explanation. It's glorious, it's wonderful, it's fast, it's beautiful. Then I have This Poison Heart by Kayla and Bayron. This is the first in the duology, and we're following Briseis as they are trying to navigate their world with a gift of being able to make anything grow, and when their emotions get out of control, so do the plants. Then we have one of my favorite romances, and that is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is set at a Renaissance fair and it's Grumpy Sunshine romance. Simon and Emily are just beautiful dynamics together. I love the color of this book and it fills my heart with joy. So highly recommend. Now this is one that I'm like, is it 50%? So adjudicator, please let me know. But that is Lightfall, The Girl and the Galdurian by Tim Probert. I adore this, and there's the green here and the green here. So is that 50%? I adore the illustrations in this. I love the way that anxiety is represented. The story itself is beautiful. It is fun. It's adventurous. It is a bloody glorious read. And whilst it's a graphic novel, so it will only count as 100 pages, if you need that palette cleanser, this is going to do you solid. There is an element of depth to it and it approaches topics in a really caring way. And I just, oh, it's so gorgeous. And then, again, questioning, but Heartstopper, green, green, more blue, but green. Right? Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. Graphic novel between Nick and Charlie and their friendship that develops into something more wholesome, absolutely wonderful. Again, another palette cleanser that is very nice and the illustrations are just adorable. There's that one. Next up are titles that I'm going to fly through because they are the next books in series that, if you haven't read the first one, this isn't going to be relevant to. So the first is Hannibal by Thomas Harris. This is the third in the Hannibal Lecter series. Thunderhead is book 2 in Ark of the Scythe by Neil Schusterman. So we're continuing on after the events that happened with Citra and Ron in the first one. Then we have Arizona, which is book 2 in the Beautiful Dead series by Eda McGuire. I doubt anyone is going to really know about this series. I have talked about it on my channel before, but I'm also aware that it seems like a really niche book to have. But if you've got it, feel free to read it. This is green. The Wizards of Once Twice Magic by Cressida Cowell. This is the second in the Wizards of Once series. Fun, middle grade, beautiful illustrations, and David Tennant narrates the audiobooks. Highly recommend that read. One of my all-time favies, we've got Frostheart Escape from Aurora by Jamie Littler, and this is the second in the Frostheart series. It's so wholesome, beautiful, wonderful, exceptionally gorgeous. I can't deal with it. Like, whoa, the illustrations. Tobu and Ash just going around being glorious little beings. The Healing in the Vine by Tamora Pierce. This is the fourth in the Circle of Magic quartet, and I really enjoyed this whole quartet. They're quite easy to read. The elemental magic in this I adore, and I think it's fabulous. My battery cut off. Final second, DB8, J. Kristoff. If you've read Lifelike, this is next. On to the things I haven't read. The first is The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. This is the Penguin Classic Clothbound edition. I have no idea what this is about. I think there's malicious plant life. I really don't know too much about it, but I adore this cover. It trips me out something chronic. And the other one is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Again, classic. That's, I know Treasure Planet, the movie, but I don't really know much about the actual story of Treasure Island, but I feel like it would be a fun, quick read if the language isn't too old-timey. Then once again we have a non-fiction, and that is Stiff by Mary Roach. So I really want to read this. So if it does fit for a point next month, I am here for it. This is the same author of Grunt, and it's The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers, and I've heard this is one of their best works. I'm here for it. I already loved Bonk, which is their one about sex, and I really enjoyed Grunt, so hopefully this can be on the list. Next up, we have The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, story and art by Akira Himekawa. Ash said that this is a standalone and it can just be read. I have no idea any context behind this. It is on my TBR, so enjoy. Then we have The Seed Collectors by Scarlett Thomas. Mel from A Book Fiend Named Mel gifted this to me kindly, and I'm very excited to get to it. So I'm hoping there is a prompt that matches to this. Whoa, those end pages are orange. But it looks very interesting. I really don't know anything about the plot because it was a gift. I haven't looked into it, but it seems interesting. And oh, Great Aunt Oleander is dead. Sure. And then one I am beyond excited to get to, and that is Death of a Bookseller by Alice Slater. There was a prettier edition that I think is US, but this fulfilled my needs. I'm here for it. I know that there's a girl that is obsessed with true crime, I think. She works in a bookstore, and then someone joins. Curiosity, morbid obsession. Yes. Then this is the moment that I realized there is another pile on the ground. Love that for me. The next books are first books in series. The first is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I know that Jacqueline will be absolutely screaming at me to get to this if there is a prompt that allows me to. I feel like it's going to be a quick read, and I believe it's also middle grade with the whimsical vibes that I love so much, so I feel like it would be easy to fly through. Then we have another middle grade, and that is Hedge Witch by Skye McKenna. Don't really know much about it. I just know underneath the dust jacket is bloody gorgeous. I'm assuming it follows a witch. It looks wholesome. I want to read it. Then we have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. I feel like I'm the last person on BookTube to get to this. Sitting there, looking glorious. And I have yet to pick it up. Nice green under there too. So, it's BookTube darling. Could I tell you anything about it? Absolutely not. And then we have The Gilded Walls by Roshani Chomsky, and this is a Paris. There is a heist going in Paris. I believe that it is queer. Mine has deckled edges because it is the Owl Crate edition, and I know that Kara will be screaming at me to pick this up throughout the readathon. So, the next stacks are two that I'm not anywhere near close to being at these books, but they are green covers, so I want to highlight them. And that is Shards of a Broken Crown, which is book 4 in the Serpent War Saga by Raymond Feist. I saw this and I realized I had to show you the cover because look at that expression. Isn't that just a bloody glorious cover? If you're up to book 4 and have this edition, have fun. Let me know how it goes. Who is this person? And then we have Then He Ate My Boy in Trances by Louise Renison. This is a number in the Georgia Nicholson series. Easy to fly through, and book 6. I'm up to book 2. The next is The Plains of Passage by Jean M. Ull. I am reading this in July. I'm so sad that I am reading this behemoth in July. But alas, it is to be done. If you're up to here, read it next month instead. I would adore you. Choices were made, but I'm reading this as part of a group read along, so our designated months were June and July. But it's so big. Then I have Summer by Ada McGuire, which is the 3rd in the Beautiful Dead series. So let me know. I feel like that is green. I feel like I'm also partially colorblind maybe because I'm not sure. I would love to get to this next month, so if you'll yell at me that it's green, I'm going to be a really happy camper if then the prompts work in my favor. This is definitely one that I'm very excited to continue on and finish off this series. Then I have Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead. This is the 4th in the Vampire Academy novels. Wow, that really doesn't look green, but the whole thing is tinged. So, continuing on with Rose, I suppose. I don't actually know where they're going because of the ending of the last book. These 6 books are my main focus. If you guys say summer, then that will also be added to the stack. But the first is Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the 2nd in the Daevabad series. I loved City of Brass. I'm so keen to continue on in this world, and I just haven't yet, so now is a good opportunity to. Then I have Wind Witch by Susan Dennard, which is the 2nd in the Witchland series, and I don't know anything about where we're going with this one. I have been putting this off for the longest time, so I probably should get to it. Then Pages & Co. The Treehouse Library by Anna James. I am so bloody excited to have this book, and if it fulfills the prompt, I am signing myself up for that because I'm so excited to tick this one off. The 6th one is out soonish, so I want to be up to date, ready to go. I'm so excited. We've shifted more towards following Milo, who we met in the first trilogy with Tilly and Otis. I'm not sure where he's off to, but I'm very excited to see what adventures Milo gets up to. Then we have The Slightly Alarming Tale of the Whispering Wars by Jacqueline Moriarty. This is from the Kingdoms and Empires series. I just find these so fun to fly through. They're beautiful. I don't know anything about the stories before going into them. I just have a good time with it. And then this one. This book is probably going to kill me to try and get to, but if I can, I will be so proud of myself, and that is Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. This is a bloody chunky boy, and it's in the tall paperback rather than the B format. We are green, we are mean, and we are the 4th book in the Aragon series. This is the last book I will read to count the series as completed, and then I'll do more research into the 5th one to see if it is where it sort of falls and if I have to read it or if this is a conclusion in and of itself. So I still have a pile on my desk, but I feel like this is an amazing stack of books There are so many 5-star reads in here already, so I'm so excited to see what the unread ones bring. Let me know in the comments if you're joining in the Amazing Readathon. I'm so thankful to Brie. She is an amazing creator and has been working so hard on this. I can't wait for it to start and watch the chaos unfold, because we know that's how it's gonna go. Let me know if you're gonna join, and if so, even if you're not joining the green team, but you really should because we love y'all, let me know what team you are joining down below. And also a book that you would recommend if you can think of one that has green on the cover. And if you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!